mouth of the sound Jimmy Hart. Hey, check out my new tag team, baby, Monty and the Pharaoh.
Hey, Jimmy, don't forget to tell them about Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Well, you know what, I would, but you already did it.
It's Monty and the Pharaoh.
With Monty and Pharaoh. The Monty and Pharaoh Show.
Monty and Pharaoh, bro.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Monty and the Pharaoh. Monty and the Pharaoh.
The Monty and Pharaoh Show.
And you're watching the Monty and Pharaoh Show.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
With Monty and the Pharaoh.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
It's Monty and the Pharaoh.
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 Monty and Pharaoh.
It's Monty and the Pharaoh.
And Monty and the Pharaoh. Oh, is it Monty and the Pharaoh?
Yeah.
Monty and Pharaoh.
The Monty and the Pharaoh Show.
Monty and the Pharaoh. To the Monty and the Pharaoh Show. And it's Monty and the Pharaoh, baby.
Watching Monty and the Pharaoh.
With Monty and the Pharaoh. Monty and the Pharaoh. Oh, what a run.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Hey, cut music. When you want the best in professional wrestling, Long Island, there's only one place you're going to get it, right here.
Monty and the Pharaoh. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best. That, my friends, is just incredible.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
You've got the future Hall of Famer, that rocker, Marty Jannetty, and MJ in the house, and I'm sitting here with two more future Hall of Famers, Monty and the Pharaoh. We're doing that stuff, and we gonna rock it.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Duh. Mike, don't you feel mature out there talking to us?
I've got two Don Morocco rubber dolls in front of me. In front of a computer.
That is true. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, seen only here out of Indie Music TV every Thursday from 9 to 10 p.m. out of Ronkonkoma, New York. Just today, WWE Hall of Famer Gerald Briscoe says Vince McMahon released him from the WWE. And here's your statement, Pharaoh. Okay, want to get this out right away. Last night I received a call from the WWE, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, to let me know that after 36 years of dedication to the WWE, I am no longer needed. Right. I'm okay with this. I will
Right.
still be around to help talent. More info will follow. Thanks.
He's okay with this? Then why did he have to word it that way? After 36 years of dedication, I am no longer needed? I'm okay with this. Did I ask? Wait a minute. Did I ask you if you're
The
okay
guy's like
with this?
70-something years old, too, right?
I think that he had a very blessed life.
I think so.
I would think so.
And again, if it's a charity case and he feels that, look, he wants to keep working, I don't, again, it's sometime it ends,
but
doesn't it?
doesn't language count for anything? After 36 years of working for Vince McMahon,
Yeah.
couldn't he have said, why does it have to be made out this way? I
How
am
about
no
thank you for the 36 years?
When you write, I am no longer needed, I see the shoe kicking in the I'm like, what are you talking about? You worked there for 36 years.
It's not thank you for the 36 years.
Apparently not.
It's
I guess he wanted another car or boat when he was being let go.
I mean,
I don't know what the problem.
I think Vince took care of Gerald, right?
I think so.
He bought Georgia Championship.
But wait a minute,
Wrestling
how do
from-
we know? How do we know?
We don't know anything.
We don't know anything.
I guess.
We know
I
as
guess
much as
I'm
the guys who are
guessing.
convicting Vince McMahon. Let's be honest.
You're right.
So
that's
what are we
true.
talking about
Well,
here?
I got one thing I do know.
It was a hell of a 36-year
I do
run
know that
for
he
a
gave
guy
him
of
36
Gerald.
years of employment.
Yeah,
That's a long time.
Dude, that's and I'm sure the paychecks were
Yeah.
very nice.
So
I will
I
say
do know
this is a
something. I do know
yeah.
something.
I will say this is a positive thing. Some wrestlers are very appreciative of his time there. He helped a lot of them. So it's a shame that they let him go, but obviously it was time. And I'm not so thrilled with the way that, I am no longer needed. I'm okay with this. Why didn't you just say you parted ways and thank you for a glorious 36 years?
Thank you, Vince. for feeding my family for 36 years.
You know,
Thank you,
whatever.
Vince,
I guess
for
it's all
giving
in the
me $1
wording.
million for Georgia Championship. Me and my brother, the $1 million for Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Wow.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you, Vince.
Nah.
No, instead, I am no longer needed. No, you're not. You're 73 years old.
Goodness.
Take a hike.
I don't even think it's about the age. I'm sure at this point, he just wasn't functioning at a point where they felt they needed to keep him around
Take a
anymore.
hike, Briscoe.
Get
the hell out of here.
So long, Jerry. Wait, he wasn't even world champ like his brother.
See you, Gerald.
What are you gonna do? What,
I'd like
you
to
expecting Love and Roses? Come on, this is Monty and the Pharaoh.
I would like to
Anyway.
thank the band that sings the theme
Hey.
song for Monty and the Pharaoh. Jimmy Farrow with his band, Wisteria Hall, along with his partner Bart Griggs.
Hope you go easier than we did on Gerald.
Wisteria Hall sings such great songs. I know, right? No one's buying your song
Please
now.
say something nice,
But I'm
will
buying
you?
Wisteria Hall song now.
What?
It makes fun of Gerald.
Those jerks, they should do disco.
But Vince McMahon bans WWE performers from third-party platforms allegedly because one of the wrestlers had a side deal. Social media is abuzz with discussions of WWE's new controversial order. We reported earlier, the new order requires wrestlers to cease any association with third-party apps like Twitch, Cameo, or YouTube within 30 days. With this contract and a letter from Vince McMahon, WWE claims it owns the ring names and the real names of wrestlers.
Right.
It is pivotal for the WWE to take this step as the company goes into the next phase of growth. All right, so Mike Messier is on the other line. We're going to play his video.
Okay, wrestling fans, Michael A.J. Norris is demanding, other fans are demanding my thoughts, insights, perspectives on good old Vince McMahon trying to stop his independent contractors from having outside sources of income while under, can you say even under contract with WWE? I mean, this is something that's been brewing for a long time. Vince might have just buried himself. You folks, you can Google, or you can Wrestling Observer, or you can, Brian Alvarez or Bruce Mitchell your way into the information of the facts. But if you just want my opinion, I think what's going on is that Vince, once again, is he 75 years old now? Just thinks of himself, I hate to use this analogy, but thinks of himself as an old-time plantation owner. He is from North Carolina, and he has that control issue and that feeling that these wrestlers owe him their lives and their souls. And the Kiss Club, yes, I know that's storyline bull, but just goes to show the mentality of this evil Vince McMahon, okay? Junior, by the way. So he wants to control their sources of income, and that's an old wrestling promoter axiom. If the boys have too much money, then you don't control them. That's why, that story from the 80s of the Iron Sheik getting, what was it, $800,000 a quarter for Iron Sheik action figure licensing. And the Vince stepped in there and lowered their percentages of merch sales. So for all the fans that are up in arms because they're worried that Xavier Woods won't be able to up, down, down his way into your hearts every week, or however that works, all I can say is you sell your soul, you join the meat puppet circus, and you're going to be treated like a meat puppet. A meat puppet! So do I have great sympathy or compassion for these wrestlers? No. If the Dolph Zigglers or the Xavier Woods wanted to have a set of balls in their trunks, they could have left the WWE when the leaving was good. Okay? They could be on AEW Dynamite. They could be on Impact. They could have gone somewhere else to find their fortune, grow a set of balls in their pants, but they decided to stick around with Vince. Now they pay the price. And the price is your dignity. The price is you've got this guy who's, let's just be honest, he's bordering on senility, going insane and old, and senility. And what the So if you are upset, if you got your panties in an uproar, worried about these wrestlers, worry about the people on the streets protesting and rioting, worry about the state of our country, the state of unrest, the political politics. Of course, it all ties into wrestling, because guess who funds the Trump administration? Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So Junior, by the way. So when I said 3 years ago, if you support the WWE or NXT, you support Donald Trump, I was right. And all you fans who didn't listen to me, you're all should be ashamed and should all live with your heads held down that I pointed out the obvious and you rewarded my wonderful video with a bunch of thumbs down. Well, now you see your heroes, your Xavier Woods and your Alexa Blisses and your whoever the getting treated like the meat puppets that they are, and I say, you get what you get. You get what you deserve. So, Mike Messier, do I give a flying about these wrestlers? No. They've lost my faith a long time ago. I only have faith in myself.
Do you want to apologize to Vince now?
He's not gonna. What? Oh boy.
Well,
Really
I think if I'll say this. I think I could be wrong, but I think based on the social media or Andrew Yang, the politician, even, I think based on some of the backlash the WWE got once that story got leaked, which they probably wanted to control the narrative and weren't able to control it this time. They kind of pulled back a little bit to clarify that they were saying only the WWE's, kayfabe name or WWE trademark name.
Right.
And they kind of, and look, here's the thing with pro wrestling news articles. If it comes from The Observer, if it comes from Bruce Mitchell or The Torch or Alvarez or Wade Keller, we don't know if this stuff is true or not, to be honest with you. So we give these guys, Meltzer especially, a lot of credit or a lot of prestige in their wrestling journalism. But the reality is we don't know. We don't know what's what. But I will say this: if you look at the Scott Hall thing, the WWE was trying to sue WCW for Scott Hall acting like Razor, when in fact Razor Ramon was doing a lot of diamond stud stuff from 2 or 3 years earlier from WCW. So the WWE/WWF/ Vince McMahon himself, they have a history of trying to control these wrestlers, control these trademarks, the fake Diesel and fake Scott Hall, fake Razor Ramon, I should say. These are all patterns of behavior with the WWE. And Terry Funk said it best on the Beyond the Mat special bonus commentary. If there's a pro wrestling match going on anywhere in the world, Vince McMahon wants to make $1 from it. And there's no reason for me to apologize. Let him apologize to me.
How about the wrestler taking advantage of the situation, though?
Right.
They go in,
That's
they
not
sign
cool
the
either.
contract.
There's a bunch of
and
different
someone like
things
Paige
that
or
are not
Lana, which started this.
What was that Paige Mania you
Paige
showed
is
me?
on Twitch, and she's making $200,000 a year using the Paige logo and the Paige name. And she's not sharing those, those funds
That's
with
a lot
the
of money.
WWE.
Hey,
That's the Page is owned by the WWE. So my point is,
okay,
Lana, and I forget Lana's real name. She should not be able to use the character to make money for herself unless she shares with the people that have marketed her to that point.
Mike, does this get back to what you said? If you know what you're signing up for, this is what you've signed up for.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I think that you guys just made a great point. And C.J. Perry is Lana's real name. And
thank you.
If you remember back when The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, was transitioning from being a full-time wrestler to a part-time actor, then a full-time actor, he had to buy the name The Rock from the WWE. So I don't have a problem with business as business. But I do feel that, and there's another one of my videos, gentlemen, from going back over 3 years ago. I said, WWE fans, who's your daddy? Wrestling fans, who's your daddy? The wrestling fans and the pro wrestlers themselves, as we all know, have a daddy complex towards Vince McMahon, and the younger generation has a daddy complex towards Triple H, Paul Levesque. Because if you read Mick Foley's book, Mick Foley says that Vince McMahon's like a father to him. Jim Ross, who's like 2 or 3 years younger than Vince, or maybe 10 years younger than Vince, says that Vince is like a father to him. All these wrestlers say Vince is like a father to me. Vince is like, where's the real father?
My issue is this: is that we're all adults, right?
Yeah, we are.
And, well,
I don't know about that. Go on. We're all adults.
We are 3 older
Let's
men
pretend.
talking about professional wrestling. I mean,
Mike, don't you feel mature out there talking to us? Go on.
I've got two Don Morocco rubber dolls in front of me in front of a computer.
That is true. That is it's a little.
You're not helping,
weird.
Mike. You're not helping. Go on. Okay, so here are the adults in the room.
The
Yeah.
realest thing Mike said in the video was, "Look,
I like
this is professional wrestling. Worry about the real things that are happening."
Oh my God, could we? You think that's possible?
Again,
I don't think it's possible, Mike.
Lana or CJ, she's making plenty of money.
Right.
You know, Paige is making plenty of money.
Of course.
And really, the real facts of it is, does Paige really give what's happening in Mike Messier, Jimmy Farrow, Mike Monty's life?
Of course
not at all.
I feel that the last 5-6 years, when WWE especially got very political with their shows in Saudi Arabia, I felt that was catering to a regime that I did not appreciate. Catering to Sharia law. I wouldn't want WWE endorsing Obama. I wouldn't want them endorsing Hillary Clinton. I wouldn't want them endorsing Biden. And I wouldn't want them endorsing Trump. I wouldn't want them endorsing anybody with the millions upon millions of dollars that they put into politics, namely for Trump, but it could be for anybody, because I want a separation of wrestling and state. And when McMahon feels that he wants to put millions and millions of dollars in, and some people say, well, it's his money, he can do what he wants. My retort would be, his money comes from the wrestling fan, of which I am one. So I feel like when you're taking your personal money, yes, I get it, but putting into politics that I didn't necessarily sign up for when I put my $10 a month into the WWE Network, or all these wrestling books or action figures or DVDs, I find that a bit of a betrayal of my trust as a wrestling fan, and maybe that's me being oversensitive or naive, but that's just how I feel.
You want a separation between wrestling and state. Oddly enough, and this is my opinion, I feel like if there ever is going to be a union of any kind, the only way that it will ever truly happen is with more Andrew Yangs, for example. Yes, if you really want to see a union ever formed, it will probably be because people like an Andrew Yang, maybe someday there will be a politician who pops up who has enough clout, and all of a sudden it becomes a government intervention thing, and now there is a union. So I found it very interesting that the very thing you don't want could maybe be the only thing that could actually give the wrestlers the benefits they look for.
I think the wrestlers these days, in many ways, are pampered, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Farrell made a great statement that with Andrew Yang, he's obviously jockeying for a position in a potential Biden-Harris, regime or
all
whatever.
Jousting.
And
sure.
Right, and he for whatever reason, Andrew Yang, and I just watched before we went on the air tonight, gentlemen. I watched Andrew Yang with Chris Van Vliet, and Yang is a wrestling fan. Yang's not coming out of left field. He's talking about
That's cool.
Randy Savage as his favorite wrestler and stuff. So Yang, at least on the surface, has a humanistic feeling for these wrestlers. And I think it's one of those things, guys, where we're all making good points, but it's like, are the wrestlers in WWE right now suffering? No. But we do get kind of into those topics of, do they have the right to use their own birth name to be on social media and make a buck from it? I would think so. And then you get into those legal territories. For instance, even the Cody Rhodes versus Cody Runnels versus just plain Cody thing. That's very complicated, and I don't have the answers, and we can just sit here and theorize.
Sure. There's nothing stopping from our friend Andrew from trying to unionize wrestlers now. He
That's
can
true,
certainly step into the ring, get
He
these
could full
wrestlers
court.
together.
He
doesn't need to become the Department of Labor head. Right? He can just do it himself now.
Very interesting.
So the reality is, I think the idea here is that they're trying to get to the working man, the wrestling fan, and, and like Mike said, I agree. He's trying to jockey himself into position, into some sort of cabinet, and I think he was quoted on CNN for saying he's willing to take any position that Mr. Biden will offer him when in hope that he becomes president of the United States.
Boy, that's shamelessly throwing yourself out there, huh, Mikey?
It is, and politics is politics.
Yeah.
Politics is something that it's probably a bigger work than wrestling. Probably Jesse Ventura said that before.
Absolutely.
But, I mean,
yeah, we're all being worked. John Cena, when he was asked about this, about signing over his actual birth name as well as his birth name being used as his character, he said, I have no issue with it because this is what I signed up for. This is before I was here, I was just a kid from Massachusetts. I wasn't doing much, I wasn't famous, I wasn't making millions of dollars. Vince McMahon giving me a break led me to my Hollywood career, all of these other things. So oddly enough, John Cena says, yes, in a way he does own the rights to my birth name. He goes, but not fully. He gets a percentage. And to John Cena, this is perfectly okay.
John Cena's particular case, he's what you would call a favored son. I mean, his father, John Cena Sr., who works part-time as a wrestling manager throughout New England, and if you've been in New England at a local wrestling show, you've probably bought a dry cigar from John Cena Sr. like I have. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't.
Sure you would.
He doesn't keep those. He doesn't keep those things in a humidifier. I found out the hard way. But
That's
in any event,
oh, that's awful.
Humidor.
No humidor.
You know,
That's terrible.
No, it was awful. And,
it tastes like cornflakes.
He's a nice guy. And John Cena Sr.'s a nice guy, but he's a nice guy who's gotten some airtime on WWE Raw, and he's getting kicked in the head by Randy Orton because he's John Cena Jr.'s father.
Right.
And my point is that John Cena, he has a debt to Vince McMahon in his own mind because he feels that he couldn't have done this without WWE's platform. And at the time, he's right, because TNA wrestling was so far behind that when Cena came into the scene, that was the only game in town, really, was WWE. So that's John Cena's personal feelings. And and look, folks, we all kind of honor Cena now, and that's fine. But during the Cena heyday, those Cena chants of Cena sucks, that's how people really felt. Fans were booing John Cena. It wasn't out of a fun game. They literally did not like the guy in a way that was not conducive to business in what you would want a Hulk Hogan or a Steve Austin or The Rock. John Cena, in many aspects, was disappointing as a babyface. But still, he got pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And now he gets to make movies and he gets to do whatever he wants. And so is a guy like that, who's had that silver McMahon spoon in his mouth for 15 years, is he going to be the one to be a rebel force against the WWE tyranny? Obviously not. It's going to be people like myself, Andrew Yang. I know you guys respect Vince McMahon a lot, but you'll also be critical of him when the time is right. And for me, guys, it's really just about people being independent thinkers. At the end of the day, we can't be subservient to a guy on television, whether it's Vince McMahon, Santa Claus, or anybody else. We just have to be independent thinkers and do our own thing. The WWE wrestlers stopped being role models to me, stopped being heroes to me when they didn't speak up against the shows in Saudi Arabia, which initially did not have women. Yes, they added women later, but for like 4 or 5 shows, they didn't have the women. And I said, you know what? I can't watch these television shows and watch these wrestlers and think that they're supposed to be either my role model or the role models for the youth in this world when they don't have the balls or the courage to speak up against things that to me are clearly morally wrong. So I no longer, what I've gotten to the point of, gentlemen, is an emotional disconnect. Yes, I will still watch wrestling. Yes, I will still enjoy wrestling, enjoy talking about wrestling, but I'm no longer going to put these people on a pedestal like I once did, because I kind of see it for what it is now. And I said it in the rant, I use a term now that's very insulting and very degrading, but I think it's well-deserved. Meat puppet. If they're going to treat themselves like meat puppets, I'm going to think of them as meat puppets. If they're not going to have the integrity to speak up or to form a union or to not do shows in countries that they don't want to do, or to not do character work that they think is degrading, then they can all red rooster themselves into oblivion. I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to cheer for them if they make clowns out of themselves. And if the Kenny Omegas who wants to wrestle a 9-year-old girl in Japan and a plastic doll in Japan, and the fans that defend that type of activity and say, oh, that was the promotion, where is the personal integrity? That's why my hero is Mike Messier, not Kenny Omega, not Triple H, not The Undertaker. None of these people. I don't look up to any of them anymore. I look up to myself. If you had to make a general line, you'd say, okay, this is your WWE character name. Once you sign a contract and you become Rusev or you become, Lana, then
the Undertaker.
The Undertaker. Hey, still
Right.
a great example. You say
Sure.
you have your kayfabe name or your WWE character persona, and you have your real life name. So if you have to have 2 Twitter accounts, 2 Facebook accounts, 2 Instagram accounts to cover the basis, and folks, this is something I not uncovered, but it's something I ranted about several times. I don't believe that the WWE talent is in charge of their own social media in by and large in the first place. I mean, Kurt Angle was tweeting ridiculous tweets about the Revolution or FTR wrestling in tag team matches. Anyway, it's a whole big thing, but it's clear to me that many times the WWE talent is not tweeting the things that people are giving credit to, say, a Becky Lynch, or they're giving credit to the wrestlers for having these Twitter wars when it's some intern at Titan Tower. Right. WWE, like the rest of us, sometimes we struggle to keep up with technology, and this might be something that these cameo things, these Twitch streams and so forth, maybe the talent was kind of, not to say getting away with it, but they were doing their own thing before Vince or whoever else kind of got clued in, and now they're trying to, double back and take control, and that's all well and good. And like you guys said it a couple of ways, is ultimately these people, I can't have that much sympathy for it. A, like I said in the rant, they signed up for what they signed up for, and B, I've got my own problems to worry about, as we all do. And you guys are awesome. You guys are kick and I really appreciate you guys putting me over, and we celebrate Don Morocco's birthday the Hawaiian way by dedicating this show to Don Morocco, if you don't mind, because I think he's a great legend.
What do you hope the future will be on the internet regarding pro wrestling, or are we just going to forever be dealing with the diarrhea lips out there?
I think this is what I think a lot of fans want. I think if I could speak for a lot of fans, I think we're looking for that next bolt of lightning, like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, 1997, NWO, 1996, The Rock, 1998. I think for over 20 years now, we're all looking for that next thing that we could all proudly put on a T-shirt, have a catchphrase, and maybe that's just a dying amount of us. But I, as great of a physical specimen as Drew McIntyre is, and as nice of a guy as he seems to be, I don't see a great catchphrase coming from Big Drew McIntyre. Nope. I don't see a big catchphrase coming from a Braun Strowman or a Roman Reigns. Nope. Some of these goth kids, or everyone's inner goth, is satisfied by Bray Wyatt and The Fiend, like Mike Murch said. But I don't know if that character could be like The Rock. And I would. This is what I'm hoping. If Vince McMahon, in all his wisdom, were to let the shackles go of these wrestlers, let them be a little more free, maybe we'll see something catch fire, like a Daniel Bryan could have, or somebody else could have. CM Punk could have.